theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Rong reviews it all on Joy Drive.
Good afternoon, Suzy Rong.
Good afternoon, Warren. You know, sometimes all a person needs is a really great movie to boost your spirits. As you know, I'm in the process of buying my home, and some portions of this experience can be really, really draining. And I'm going through a lot of anxiety and upheaval. But last night, when I really needed it, I watched Runs in the Family, and I felt so great afterwards.
Oh, isn't that fantastic? And firstly, congratulations on the process of buying your own house, Suzy. That's wonderful.
Thank you. I can't wait for it to be over.
And, we have to
can't wait to get to the finishing line. I feel like I've been running 3 marathons in a row.
And we have to confess, you and I have been having some conversations about the process. And I've got to admit, as someone who's done it, yours hasn't been an easy process, but you're getting there, which is really exciting, Suzy. We're really excited for you.
Yeah, and you know, I get by with a little help from my friends, a lot of moral support. That's been great.
It'll soon be that. You'll be in your own place very, very soon. Now, we're talking about the movie Runs in the Family. It's streaming on Netflix. If you've seen it, I would love you to join in the conversation. You can text us 0427 569 949 or onair@joy.org.au. Let's hand it over to the stressed Suzy Rong.
River is planning to take part in a drag competition in hopes to win 50,000 rand for his top surgery. But his father Varun needs his help to go on a road trip from Cape Town to Eswatini so that they can rescue from rehab Monica, the woman who had given birth to River. Monica had left many years ago when River was newly born, so she doesn't know that River now lives as a man. But that is not the biggest drama we encounter in the South African film Runs in the Family, streaming on Netflix. The story is full of twists and turns, so we'll try our best not to spoil any surprises for you. But what I can say is that the movie is extremely well made, full of poignancy, often thought-provoking and ever so entertaining. The performances are excellent across the board, with characters who are wonderfully idiosyncratic, yet completely believable. Runs in the Family is a film that caters to both queer and straight audiences. It's never patronizing in its depictions of a trans experience, so trans viewers will be able to enjoy seeing ourselves in River. For those not familiar with our lives, they will also feel uplifted by this very inspirational tale about kinship and about love. Varun and Rivers is a very positive portrayal of a father-son relationship, one that queer people will feel enriched by, and I'm sure straight people too will appreciate the tenderness being depicted. Do not think, however, that Runs in the Family is a sappy drama. I can assure you that it is not. There is a good amount of grit, and I frankly couldn't believe a couple of the edgier moments at the film's climax. The conclusion is a little bit abrupt, but I don't think it spoils the fun. I highly recommend that you check it out on Netflix, and I'm confident that Warren feels the same.
Yes, I do, Suzy. You know what was refreshing about it is, we talk about a lot of movies here on Joy Drive, and they often focus on, I suppose, the romance, or the coming out process, or the trauma, or something like that. But this is the first time that I've ever seen something that focuses on the relationship of someone with their father. I don't think we've talked about that before, and we know that the father-son relationship, particularly for gay men, can cause problems in particular. Yet in this one, it's a dependable relationship in this movie. It's and the father, I suppose that's where we learn our masculinity from. Certainly where I learnt my masculinity from, and not all of it was good, I have to admit. Suzy, what is your relationship with your father like?
All I can say is I am determined to be a good daughter, regardless of what kind of father he decides to be. It's been challenging, but I always feel like, and also because we live oceans apart, he's in Singapore, I feel like I just try my best to be a good daughter, and he can make his own choices. I think that's all I have to say about that subject.
But how did you feel seeing the father-son relationship, on screen? How did you feel about that, and what did that make you feel?
I think I was really, I felt like the generational change is so important to observe in the movie, because you and I, obviously we would probably relate more with the queer character, but he's only, in his early 20s. But we are the father's age, we are in our early 50s. So we are sort of that age. And our generation grew up, many of us, not all of us, many of us have grown up, a lot more open-minded, exposed to a lot more information, and, society had moved away from the church a lot more. So it is completely understandable that Varun is a really understanding father. But you're right, we never see these examples very much on screen. So it was really good to see, this is a new generation of fatherhood, and there's no reason why he can't be a great father to his trans son.
A couple of messages come in. This one, which comes in every week. Oh my God, again, you cover anything except cis queer women in film and TV. Check your bias, folks. Suzy, you've addressed this before. Have you got anything else to say to it?
We've got a lesbian story next week.
There you go. There's a lesbian
and I think
story.
maybe the week after. We'll see how it goes.
And to be fair, you do try very hard to cover everyone, and I don't want inter-community sort of fighting or anything like that. You try very hard to be diverse in all the movies and TV shows that we watch, but it's difficult because there's not a lot that necessarily is released, Suzy, and you have said in the past you don't want it to be old content as well. You want it to be new stuff. So we're really sort of
I think queer women don't have a lot of movies made for them and about them. That is a problem. And also, I don't think we've covered very much of the trans masculine experience. So at first I thought, it's another story about queer men, but actually we haven't had a lot of stories about trans men, so it is slightly different today.
Okay, so we've addressed your query about the bias. There is no intentional bias there at all. We're both volunteers. We're doing our best to get a broad range of shows reviewed here on Joy Drive. So hopefully that answers your query. Another one here saying, love the film, amazing relationships and life friendships. There were some amazing things that were just like Australia, like old Datsuns. Yes, the Datsuns and the pubs, but so many areas where it's obviously not Australia, but post-apartheid South Africa. And another one, that's just saying, that's Paul from St Kilda East. Suzy, I loved seeing the relationship with the father on screen. It's something, my relationship with my father wasn't necessarily the best when I was a kid at all. It was quite traumatic and at some stages violent, and there was alcohol involved as well. It was just terrible. But the interesting thing is, I've done a lot of work on it, and we've healed that relationship, and now he's probably one of my closest friends, and it's really nice to be in that position, to have turned a father-son relationship around. Now I talk to my father every day, whereas when I was a kid I used to hide in my room. So it's a real turnaround. So I loved seeing that relationship on screen.
Yeah, and it was very, very well performed, I thought. I really believed the chemistry in all the relationships, and especially the father-son relationship. I felt like it was so convincing. It felt so natural. It felt so matter of fact that this father would be really caring for the son, and it's a weird thing to say, but we're not really used to seeing that very much, because especially because River is a new generation of queer men and trans men where they are really, really unapologetic about their queerness, and they live their masculinity in a completely different way. And you can imagine that, his kind of masculinity is very, very challenging to Generation X and the Boomers, because they are, they don't have the same kind of rules about masculinity, that they have, deconstructed a lot of the negative stuff about it. So River is living life as a man, but without all the baggage that the previous generations had. And it was good to see. And it was good to see that in some ways he inspired his father to be a healthier kind of man as well.
Definitely. We're talking about Runs in the Family, which you can find streaming on Netflix. Suzy recommends we all check it out. Another email in, Suzy saying, love Suzy's reviews. Sorry you get complaints about the content. Keep up the great work. Joy Drive Reviews. There you go, Suzy. You're doing a good job. We love it.
Thank you. Thank you. So we got to talk about the mother.
Yeah, tell us about the mother.
What did you think about the mother?
I don't know. I was more focused on the father. What did you think?
Well, I enjoyed that she was a real piece of work. Like you almost think that, right? They're gonna because you think that they're gonna have a reunion story. Like he hadn't seen the mother for a long time, so you think that the mother there's gonna be kind of like a making up for lost time sort of story, but it's not. and I found that really surprising, and I found like some of it the drama quite brutal, which I enjoyed. And as a woman, I really enjoy seeing women portrayed in a kind of really, really unexpected way, because I think sometimes we are very sensitive about like we're sensitive about queer people being portrayed in a positive light, and for many years we were sensitive about women being portrayed in appropriate ways. But I think we have evolved so much that I feel like we are ready for new ways of portrayals, and this woman is so unexpected. I found it very pleasantly surprising.
Check it out. Runs in the Family on Netflix if you can. Suzy, what are we watching next week?
Next week, we are looking at a French film recommended by one of our loyal listeners. Anais in Love is streaming on SBS On Demand about a young French woman falling in love with the partner of the man with whom she is having an affair. Anais in Love is a sapphic romance for when I see you next Tuesday.
Thank you, Suzy.
Joy Drive on Joy 94.9.